I was very nervous on my first day of work, and I like to be on time. I left an hour and a half early because my commute was quite long, which meant that I arrived at the office 15 minutes before the time that I was supposed to. That gave me a chance to find a coat closet and, freshen up in the ladies' room. And also, I met the first friendly face at the desk, and I introduced myself, and I made sure that I shook her hand and that she knew that I was trying hard to be outgoing and pleasant. So that was the very first thing I did. And then when I arrived at my desk, people all around, I got a chance to meet them. And when I met them, I repeated their names. So when the person said, "Hi, my name is Harris," I said, "Harris, oh, it's nice to meet you." And that way I had a way of sort of retaining their name a little bit. There were a lot of people, I couldn't retain all of their names, but it did help me. And I think I met about 20 people that first time. So, and then once that all happened, there was a lot of information coming at me quickly, like my login IDs, how to get into the building. And I made little lists and I wrote down things. And that way the next day when I arrived at the office and I had to figure out how to get in, I had a little way of referring back to it. In our work atmosphere, working well means that you arrive on time and that you start your task quickly. And if there is questions, you feel free to go to people and ask the questions. And if there are problems, there's a lot of Canadians tend to interact and problem solve, and there's a lot of back and forth in conversation. In some cases, if you're a shy person, this means that you have to work outside your comfort level. Also, most Canadians are really quite aware of time, and they try to arrive at meetings on time or before time, and they end meetings on time because everybody looks around the table and they see that there are a lot of busy people in this room, and therefore we're not going to waste anybody's time. So there's not a lot of pleasantries at the beginning. We sometimes say, "How was your day?" And then we get right down to the task because there's an agenda that has to be fulfilled. And work offices are often open concept, so people are really aware of how noisy they are. And that is an important thing because you sometimes have people who can't block out noise. So conversations are removed from the general area and held in meeting spaces. And so are loud phone calls. That's another thing about Canadian work atmosphere. Never overlook the importance of socializing. And for a while, I knew that I was doing a poor job at this because people would invite me to lunch, and I was always aware of the expense of lunch, eating out. And at our house, we make lunches and take them with us. But then I realized that I was missing the interaction of making friendships and socializing. So a couple of times a month, I would accept the invitation to go to lunch, and that way I learned that, say, Gail had 3 children and one played hockey, and then we had more to talk about. And I revealed things about myself. I like theater, and they would ask me about things that I had seen at my, when I went out to see a play. And this builds a relationship that's a lot more deep than, say, "Hi, how are you?" Well, people ask you that question, but I don't think they often listen. And that's another thing that's important, is listening and understanding who your coworkers are, and knowing if there's something wrong and asking, "Are you okay today?" Sometimes we're hesitant about getting to know people deeply, but they appreciate it and they respond. I think that it takes probably 2 years to know your boss and to know what is important and if you're taking something too personally. So don't be hard on yourself for the first little while. And if you think that you're not reading the signals correctly, please make sure you ask questions. I have a boss that sometimes assumes that I know more than I do, and therefore I go back often and I say, may I just clarify this with you? And then she knows and she understands that there are missing pieces for a task, or that I don't really know everything that is going on. The other thing that's important is to also socialize with your boss, because in Canadian culture, bosses are not people who are above us. They tend to treat us more like we're equals and that they want to work with us. Be social with your boss and ask them questions and ask them how their weekend was. And that gives you more context in understanding how to interact with your boss. The other thing about bosses is that they are people too, and they have bad days. And sometimes tiny acts of kindness pave the way for you. So I'm not saying be subservient. I'm saying, surprises like a chocolate on their keyboard. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of things always make them feel, oh, they look around and wonder who this person is who's caring for them and about them. If you make a mistake, own up to it. Don't try to cover up, because in Canadian culture, bosses have the attitude of everybody has a bad day, everybody makes mistakes, and they tend to be very forgiving if you take responsibility for your actions. And that way, you can make plans with your boss of how to solve the problem, because it could be an indication of something that is bigger that's going on. So I write a lot of things down when I'm trying to manage my time, so that I will make sure that if I have a running list, and once I've finished a task, I cross it off. When people approach me and they ask me if they can do things, I always say, is this an important task? I don't want to put you off. I just want to make sure that you know that there are 3 things before. And that way they know that I'm caring for them, but I also have other responsibilities.